Alright guys, today we are doing CHING number 174. So it's been a little while since I've done a CHING. I'm also behind on doing my what sold in the antique booth videos as well. So there's that, but today is a CHING video and that is what we're doing. So let's just get started. The first thing that I have is a glass ashtray by Anchor Hocking. This was a pretty teal color. That did sell for $19.99. Ashtrays for me, as far as reselling them goes, is pretty hit or miss. I actually think I do have one other ashtray in this CHING. So these ones were obviously some better ones, but I have picked up ones that just did not sell. Okay, so the next thing we have is a Fisher Price toy. This one was an Imaginext Fisher Price toy. It was a Batman vehicle set. This was brand new, still in the original box. That sold $69.99. Next item we have, it also was new. This one was new old stock, a pack of Ziploc. These were called Tabletops Dishware. So they were like plates with lids and things like that. Anyway, it was 24 pieces of dishware, sold $49.99. So these are a desirable thing that I did not know about until I saw them pop up at the auction, and I looked them up and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to bid on these. Alright, so then the next thing we have is a vintage perfume. This one was a Revlon perfume in the scent Scoundrel. That sold $28.99. That did take a long time to sell. Also sold an early American pressed glass. This was a consolidated glass jadeite, just a single shaker. Unfortunately, I didn't have its matching pair, but that single shaker sold for $20.50. Some jadeite, you have to be careful because some jadeite glass does glow under black light. Not all of it, but some of it does. The stuff that does glow obviously can sometimes bring a little bit more money than just, you know, the run-of-the-mill jadeite glass because it glows. So, you know, people will pay a little more for that specific aspect. Next we have a pottery plate. This was by an artist named Chris Bubani. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that last name, but it was a flying bat kind of depicted on the plate. That sold $89.99. Then we sold this was from 1984, a wood carved Santa Claus. This was signed by the artist, and the artist's name was Vonnie Boarts, or Bortz. That sold $24.99. Sometimes I think when you see my videos, like in the last auction preview, I actually went to an auction preview today. I did not record because it just wasn't much good stuff there. There was a couple things here and there, but it just wasn't a whole lot of like super interesting things to look at, so I didn't record. But the last auction preview I recorded at, I was looking at some carved Santa Clauses, and I always say when I'm looking at them, I'm looking to see if they are signed, you know, by an artist, because depending on the artist, or, you know, even if it is just, you know, signed by any old artist, signed carved wood pieces do tend to sell. So, I mean, I've had good luck with them. Anyway, I don't even know if I said how much that sold for, but it sold for $24.99. Next item was a vintage corn on the cob shaped planter. So funny. I picked this up at a yard sale one day. I think I paid 50 cents for it. That sold $19.99. I got like a corn on the cob and a carrot. The carrot sold first. How does the carrot sell first and not the corn on the cob? Anyway, next was a vintage sheet of Smurfs Scratch and Sniff stickers. These were scented like chocolate. Those sold $19.99. Vintage stickers tend to sell decently, especially if they are the Scratch and Sniff variety. Next was a porcelain pink rose by Bohm. I remember I'm really starting to try and pronounce my words a little better, because I sometimes do that. Like I'll say something and I'm saying it wrong, and either I don't realize or I don't know the correct way to pronounce you know, a certain artist or brand or what have you. And I know in the past, every time I've mentioned this company, I always pronounced it Bohem, but it's Bohm. Bohm is the correct pronunciation. So porcelain Bohm pink rose sold for $49.99. Next item, someone purchased 2 of these. I had 2 of them available. These were large Mackenzie Childs enamel like serving size plates. So they purchased 2 for a total of $119.98. So we all kind of know Mackenzie Childs stuff can sell pretty well. I think everything I rarely come across it, but everything I have ever picked up has sold. Next item was a Yellowware pottery pitcher jug. This sold for $79.99. Also sold a vintage My Little Pony. This one is Baby Sunny Bunch. That sold $19.99. I am going to take a moment to stop right there and just talk slightly about, and this is eBay, pertains to eBay. I have sold like a crap ton of vintage My Little Ponies, and I'm so thankful that I got all of those listed and they sold when they did, because I got a lot of money for these ponies, and a lot of the ponies were going overseas, specifically almost always to the United Kingdom. Now, they passed some sort of law where they can no longer purchase vintage toys from overseas. Like there's something, and I do apologize, I don't know like the whole story, reasoning, anything like that. But they're no longer allowed to purchase vintage toys, and that has something to do, you know, with their government and customs regulations or what have you. So that really lost a lot of vintage toy buyers, since they can no longer purchase those items. So that really does suck for not only them, because they can't, you know, add to their collections, but also for us sellers as well, because we can no longer ship vintage toys to them. So that has been an issue, because I've had, you know, people message from there asking, you know, like why they can't bid on or purchase, you know, like a vintage pony or what have you. And it has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with, you know, our say. It has all to do with, you know, whatever was passed on their end. So yeah, that's kind of a crappy thing as far as like the vintage toy deal and shipping there. And like I said, I apologize, I don't know the full story or anything about it. I just know that, you know, this went into effect at some point here fairly recently. I don't remember exactly when. Next item, you're gonna see this a couple of times because I had multiples of these. These were vintage little miniature purple mini glass hens on a nest. So I had multiples of these. I paid $1 a piece for these at a yard sale. So you're gonna see these a couple of times because I sold every single one. Anyway, sold $25.99. Next item was a vintage. This one was from the 1960s by Jameco. It was a plastic orange Ferris wheel that holds earrings, and it even like rotated. It was so stinking cute. That sold $19.99. We sold that old blown glass stacking apothecary jar. You saw me haul this in one of like my auction haul videos. This would have had like another piece to it. So this was only part of that piece, but it still did sell. These are like hard to find. And if you find them with like all the pieces, they're worth like buku. But that sold $69.99 for that piece. And these were like old apothecary jars. They would have had like hanging in like, you know, the old apothecaries, like by the windows, kind of like just like to display type of thing. I believe that's what I remember anyway. Let's see. The next item was a Slatkin farm stand candle. This was, it looked like a little peach basket, and then it had 2 candle inserts that you could put into the basket. It was brand new. That sold $35.99. Sold a Lori Mitchell Santa and Mrs. Claus figures. Those sold for the pair $89.99. One day at the auction there were quite a few Lori Mitchell pieces. I think I only kept one. I was really good and I only kept one of them, so I listed all the other ones, or you know, already sold them. Next was a Swarovski crystal. These were called bee eaters and they were on a branch. I wanted to look up what bee eaters actually are. They're like birds, right? But what is it, because they eat bees? Hold on. We're educating ourselves. We're gonna start to educate ourselves, people. Bee eaters are birds, brightly colored birds, known for their ability to catch flying insects like bees and wasps. They are found in Africa, Asia, Europe, Australia, and New Guinea. Okay, so Swarovski sold $280. That was a great sale. We sold a vintage Halloween die cut. This was a witch with the moon. That sold $77. This next item was from 1983 vintage stuck on stickers sticker album. Sold $19.99. Here's another one of those mini purple hens on a nest. Sold again. They all sold same price, $25.99. Hens on a nest have come back with a freaking vengeance. Some hens on the nest are selling for just crazy money right now. Crazy, depending on the color, the maker, you know, the size, what have you. It's one of those things where, like, sure, they were popular at one point, then they kind of just died off and they're back. So definitely, I'm always trying to pick up hens on nests when I see them, but they are getting harder and harder to find because their popularity has grown. One thing, and this has to do with reselling, you guys know I sell on Whatnot. I also like to watch Whatnot shows, especially the ones with the sellers that get, you know, like a lot of people in their shows, to see what things are selling for, as far as like what people are looking for. What it kind of helps, you know, you figure out what's hot at the moment type of thing. Hens on the nest are still really popular, and that, you know, a lot of it branches over, you know, onto eBay. Obviously, we know we can sell hens on nests on eBay for good money. So, you know, it's not Whatnot exclusive as far as that goes. So hens on the nest, obviously very popular still. The whole geeses, they were really popular. I think that's maybe dying down a little bit. I am seeing an uptick in popularity of butter pats, which is just so weirdly insane to me. But I don't make the rules as to what becomes popular and what doesn't. I wish I had that kind of, you know, control, but I don't. So grotesquely, and I say that because I had like a stack of butter pats that a couple months ago were worthless. I threw them away. Yeah, Don't ever do that. This is why I hoard stuff, because you just never know when it's gonna come back in popularity and when it's gonna come back with a vengeance. So yeah, I threw some butter pats away, and they've, I don't know, for some reason are gaining popularity right now, and I don't understand it. Anyway, we're on to the next thing, which is this was a hand puppet made in Germany by a brand called Kersa, Kersa. It was like a tribal man that sold $19.99. That came on a tray of some other hand puppets, so I sold quite a few of those. Then the next item was still sealed. This was a Monster High doll, Ari Huntington, that sold $45.99. So she could sing, so she was like not necessarily electronical, but she could do a little something. All right, next item was another Lori Mitchell. This one was a snowman, and he sold $39.99. And what do you know? Here's another mini purple head on the nest, sold $25.99. This next item was a good one. This one was an Art Nouveau boudoir lamp that sold $149.99. This one was absolutely beautiful. Okay, so next was actually a pair of shoes, pair of Vans. These were high top style with gold skulls on them. These took a long time to sell, but they did sell for $99.99. It's like, I haven't been listing a whole lot of shoes and clothes lately. I still have like a lot of shoes and clothes to list, but okay, so you know, I posted a video of our storage unit the other day. We got like a new storage unit. It's huge, and we're able to take more stuff out of the house now, like stuff that was in the garage and some stuff that was in the basement. In my basement, I have this real big light box that I would use to do my clothes and bigger, like real big items in. And it's full of bins, plastic bins of inventory. So I haven't been able to use it or utilize it, hence why I haven't really been posting clothes lately, because I like to either put them on my mannequin or, you know, lay them out with good lighting. So now that we have this larger unit, I'm going to be able to finally get back into that light box and get some clothes listed. So I'm excited about that, because I got some really nice like vintage t-shirts and, you know, Harley stuff, and I have like a whole tote full of Trip like bondage pants, if you guys remember those from back in the day. I just sold a pair of those actually on eBay for good money. So yeah, I'm excited to finally be able to list some clothes and stuff again. All right, next item was a vintage Christmas musical. These were Melody Bells. If you guys, I don't know if I still have a clip of these, but if you would hear them, it would just bring you back pure nostalgia on these. Anyway, they were still in their box. Those sold $39.99. Also sold a vintage plastic nativity by Bright Star. This one sold $29.99. What do you know? Another mini purple glass hen on a nest sold $25.99. I sold a hairdryer. This one was by Hot Tools. It was a turbo ionic hairdryer, and that sold $35. I will be the first to admit, when I am at like thrift stores, I rarely look at the hair accessories, like the curling irons, the hair dryers, and stuff like that. Could be missing out on money there, because I sold a hair dryer for $35. So I'm gonna have to start looking there again. Another vintage My Little Pony. This one was from 1990, called a Precious Pocket Pony. She sold $39.99. Also sold a Napco lady head vase. She did still have her original earrings as well, which helps with those, because a lot of the times when you find them, they're missing their earrings. She sold $89.99. The next item was a blown glass tuba Musician by Zelensky. That sold $49.99. Next item was a vintage. This was from 1983. These were Star Wars accessory pieces to the Ewok Village. Sold that little lot for $29.99. I could have made more had I parted those out, but I didn't feel like it at the time, so I just threw it up as a lot. So sometimes that happens. I just get, I guess, lazy, and I don't feel like waiting for this little piece to sell, this little piece to sell, but those little pieces do all add up, and sometimes that really helps with sales. Let's see, another mini purple glass head on a nest sold $25.99. This next item was a set of 4 deer hooves. So you could use these as like a gun rack or coat hangers, what have you. Those sold for the 4, $54.99. Here's the other ashtray. This one was actually a cigar ashtray, and it was a Viking glass ashtray. Diamond Point, that sold $59.99. We sold a Fenton Pink Rose Hobnail Compote for $69.99. This next item surprised me. This was an Anchor Hocking glass piggy bank, and it was red. I see these a lot in like either clear or like a marigold type of light, like, you know, a light marigold kind of carnival glass color. The red ones are desirable, harder to find. So this one sold $77, and it was small. It was only like yay big. It wasn't like a big piggy bank. So that was a really good sale. Let's see, we sold a Fenton red iridescent carnival glass tulip candle holder. So this you could put either way, like the way that it's showing, or you could have it the other way as well. That sold $29.99. Next was a set of Mosser green opalescent. They called this style the eye winker, and it was a set of salt and pepper shakers. Those sold $19.99. Also sold a blue sleigh glass bull cow. This was a mustard jar. It was like its head mustard jar. Sold $19.99. Then we also sold another of those Jameco Ferris wheel earring holders. This one was a yellow one. Also sold $19.99. When we won these at the auction, they actually were full of earrings. The earrings were definitely from the 60s as well. They weren't like the best. It was a lot of like very small, tiny little studs and things like that. But I did find like maybe 4 pairs out of all of them that were marked sterling, so that was pretty awesome. Let's see, we sold a Beekman 1802 candle in the scent Orange Blossom. That sold $19.99. Sold that Noel's potato chip tin for $99.99. So I've sold that potato chip tin a couple of times now. Then we also sold a Longaberger Santa basket. It was like Santa on top, and then the basket looked like the chimney. That sold $59.99. And then the last thing that I have for this cha-ching was a Littlest Pet Shop Blith doll. And she came with like her pet and a whole bunch of accessories. That sold $39.99. So that is everything I have for this cha-ching. My eBay sales are up 26.5%. I do think sales are doing pretty good. You know, I've been selling some good things here lately. When I got out like my Halloween decorations, there were a couple of things I decided to list to get rid of to like make room for, you know, newer stuff that I had gotten recently. So I had been selling like a decent amount of Halloween stuff, and you'll see that in another cha-ching. But yeah, so I think eBay is doing pretty good. I know it's been a little while since I've done a what sold in the booth video, but the booths are doing good as well. And then I also, you guys know I sell on Whatnot. I do sometimes get questions on like what my Whatnot name is because it's not Shell.Belle on there. My Whatnot name is Happened Upon, and that is the name of our antique booth. Like our Facebook page for our antique booths is Happened Upon, so that's what I'm using for my Whatnot name. I have been doing sales. I try to do them as often as possible. I do have one. I don't know when this video is going up. This video is probably not going up until Sunday, but I do have a Whatnot show scheduled today. Today is Friday. I have one scheduled Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so one each day of this week. So it is a lot of work because I do preload my stuff. I know not everyone does, and I know some people like that, some people don't. But for me personally, it's just something I like to do. I like being able to just pin my thing, not have to worry about like weighing it or like, you know, making a screenshot of the item or what have you. Like I just do it all kind of ahead of time. It's just easier for me. So I do have a vintage Christmas show I'm doing tonight. I'm having a Halloween show on Saturday, and then Sunday I'm doing ephemera. You guys know, especially because of with my eBay, I sell everything. I am not, you know, a seller that just sells one type of thing. It's literally like, I don't know what I'm going to have each time, you know, I do a video, do a show. Like, I came into a crap ton of vintage Smurf PVC figures, so I'm doing a Smurf PVC figure show. I don't know how that's going to go, but it's just something that, you know, got at an auction, like a one day won like a flat of these PVC Smurfs figures for like $1, and then some more came up at the auction the other day that Eric won. He did pay a little more for those, but you know, it's just still like I just never know what's coming in type of thing. So it's just always something different going on. So yeah, I definitely want to keep doing Whatnot shows. I will say, and I've said before, because like I've gone through it with Whatnot. Like there was a point where like I just wanted to give up on it because it just wasn't working out for me. But I decided to try again, and now I'm trying to stick to it. But as with anything, do not put all of your eggs in one basket. There are so many people I see on, you know, like Whatnot Facebook groups who, you know, maybe have some successful shows and all of a sudden like want to quit their job, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I can do this full time, you know what I mean? But that's like the only place that they're selling. Now, I don't know if Whatnot will be around forever. Do you get what I'm saying? Like it could just all go down the crapper like that. Obviously eBay has been around for a very long time. I don't think eBay is going anywhere, especially not anytime soon. But definitely always sell more than just one place, just in case something were to ever happen to that place. Whatnot can be a little sketchy at times. I'm not even gonna deny that. I had seen, it wasn't that long ago, like one of their top sneaker sellers got busted while they were doing a live show for selling stolen merchandise. And it's like, who knows how many other sellers on there are also selling stolen stuff. You don't know, you know what I mean? Unless obviously the cops were waiting to do this, you know what I'm saying? But you just don't know with some of the people. It's a little sketchy, and I feel like Whatnot has to, you know, deal with that to some extent. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, couldn't they get in trouble for allowing sellers who are selling stolen well, I guess there could be sellers on eBay selling stolen merchandise. I don't know how it all works when you're trying to run a business and then people on the platforms are getting arrested for selling fake stuff or stolen stuff or what have you. But that's what I'm saying though. Just don't rely completely on one platform for your income type of thing. And also, like, I don't know, I could make a whole kind of like ranty video about what I like, whatnot, don't get me wrong. Like, I do make, you know, some decent money on there at times. It helps me unload, you know, inventory and whatnot, but there is some sketchy stuff happening on that platform. There is no doubt about it. Like, I'll watch someone who is selling something that obviously weighs way more than a pound, and it'll say shipping is like $4 and some change. Like, they're running it under a lower weight. And it's like, yes, they will, when they go to ship and create their label, like, you only get, I don't know how many adjustments it is a week. I want to say it's like 4 or 5 adjustments a week or something. So like, if you're off with your like a weight or something, they don't charge you until you go over your adjustments. But I feel like some sellers are just like not even changing dimensions of boxes or weights. They're just shipping the label, like creating the label right off of whatever is just generically put in there type of thing. Because I see a lot of the times on Facebook whatnot groups from buyers who have to pay those shipping overages because the sellers aren't shipping properly. They're not putting in the right weights, and then they're sending off these like 5-pound boxes that they only have down as like 8 ounces. You know what I mean? So I don't know. And is whatnot doing anything about that? Like, are the sellers getting in trouble for that, or are they just continuously, you know, doing wrong? Because I remember when I signed up for whatnot, it was like you had to show that you had inventory. Like, I had to take pictures of my inventory. I had to be a part of like a Zoom call with other sellers that were going to be selling with, you know, someone from whatnot who would talk about, you know, how it works and answer any type of questions. So you had to kind of be like vetted, I guess, to even like sign up. And it's not like that anymore. Like, anyone can do it. So even if you have no prior knowledge of how shipping works or anything like that, you can just create an account, get on, and go through your room and sell your stuff, and then at the end of it be like, well, I don't know how to ship it now. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a lot of sellers that are like that. So yeah, I think it's, whatnot is a shit show. Let's just say it's definitely a shit show. But yeah, like I said, it is a nice option though to get rid of inventory at a quicker pace. Obviously, I'm not the type of seller who gets like tons of people in their show. So like, you know, I'm not getting a lot for my stuff. But it's more or less about getting rid of inventory at a faster pace than, you know, listing it on eBay and waiting for the right buyer to come along, or waiting for an auction to end, or, you know, that type of thing. So I like that aspect of it. Yes, I will continue to utilize it, but yes, it is a shit show. So anyway, that's all I'm probably going to talk about today, because I am rambling. It's been a while. You guys know I love to ramble. So anyway, let me know what you thought of this video, how sales are going for you. Do you sell on Whatnot yourself? If you do, let me know your Whatnot name so that I can follow you if I don't already, and check out your shows. So, but yeah, my link is always down in my description box as well. Like I said, my name on there is happened upon. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time.